We are. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to Tuesday night yoga therapy. Tonight, we are focusing on the hips, and this area is also related to the second chakra of yoga, which is the center of creativity, center of reproduction, the center of those very human emotions that can take us sometimes away from or move us away from our center. So we'll be working to get centered so that emotions can come and go and we can stay in the center, like when you go outside and it's stormy and you don't get blown over. That's what we're going for. You don't want to repress the emotions, but you want to stand in the center and not get blown over by them. So just finding your spot. Or if you get blown over, which actually will happen, you can stand up again and keep going. So just finding your spot, finding your center. And I always think of the belly as being our very human center, the center of our physical awareness. It's having feet and legs and moving around. Inhale into the belly. Exhale, draw the belly in. And you can make a ha sound if you like. Inhale, expand into the hands with your belly. Exhale, draw the belly in. And just keep this going. You can close your mouth now if it's comfortable, breathing through the nose, constricting the throat. Drawing the belly towards the spine as you exhale. Inhale, belly's moving away, your back is arching. Exhale, the belly's drawing towards the spine. Just notice how this area of your body's feeling this evening. Is it feeling light? Is it feeling heavy? Are there other sensations like butterflies or nervousness, or is it just very calm and even? Adding a humming breath if you like. Keep this going your own timing. Your breath pattern might be different than mine. Deep breath helps us lengthen the exhale. And also the sound, hopefully soothing to your nervous system. And adding an om if you like, or you can keep with the breath or the humming. Inhale. Inhale. If you have an intention linked to this area of your awareness this evening, feel free to just allow that to arise. So it could be, may I experience emotional freedom, or may I be free from a particular emotion that takes you off center. Or it just might be, may I experience balance, harmony in my hips, in my emotions, something like that. See what comes to mind. So you feel the inhale and the exhale. Inviting yourself just to drop into that area of awareness. When you're ready, stretching your legs if that's comfortable, otherwise you can keep them bent. You're welcome to use the wall to help you ground, put your feet at the wall. And when you're ready, you're going to inhale, you're going to bring your arms up to your place. So those of you with shoulder injuries, you might just come to here, you might bend the elbows, touch the hands on the top of the head, or you might be able to bring your arms all the way overhead. You might use a bolster or pillow behind you. And you could also put something under your thighs to support the lower back. If this is bothering you, exhale, bringing your hands down. Just doing this a couple of more times. Inhale, arms coming up to Daka Mudra, tucking the chin in. And exhale, coming down, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, feel the lower back move into the ground as you bring your hands down. Inhale, if you can, breathe into the chest, then into the belly, nodding the chin down. And exhale, like you're zipping up a jacket from the pelvic floor all the way to the chest, drawing the breath up and out. One more time, inhale into the chest, into the belly, chin nodding down. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, chest falls. The next round, we're going to start moving the legs. Now you're welcome to move the mat if you want. I'm going to show it without the moved mat first. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, you're going to draw in one leg at a time. You can start with your easy side. So just dragging the heel in, and it can be nice to fold your mat in half so that you can drag the heel a bit more. Your choice on that. Inhale, extend the leg out. And exhale, other side. Now, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit, you could try just using one arm at a time. So on the exhale movement, you could just bring down one arm if you wanted. and the other one up, just for a little bit of challenge. Or you can use both arms. It just gives you a little bit of bilateral movement when you add that one arm, because the other arm is up. So a little bit of bilateral stimulation. Now, if this is feeling too hard, you can do this with bent knees. So easiest version is just going side to side with the knees bent. So that's to make it easier. It's getting into those hips, the lower back. Now you can add a breath stay here, each side now. We didn't do this last time, so you can just add a breath of stay. Do this in your own time. Just going side to side and adding one breath stay each side. Now, if you do it very slowly, you'll get into core work as you do it. And after you've done that, perhaps dragging both legs in using the core and bring the knees to the chest. You can hug them in or just use your core strength to draw your knees into the chest. Just keep this going. Someone's trying to get in. Okay. All right, I think we're all in now, and hopefully we're all muted. Okay. All right, when you're ready, grab one of your blocks or two. Now, if you want to challenge yourself, you can take these bigger blocks. You could take a book as well. These blocks are 1.5 pounds each. If you have books that you think are around that size, you can use books or you can use these blocks. So I've been playing with using these blocks as weights, and you put them between your legs. So this is quite a bit of work. If you want less work, you can just use a regular yoga block or a lighter book or a pillow. So your choice on that. Just putting those blocks between the legs. Exhale. You're going to squeeze those blocks as you tuck the tail under. Squeeze, 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 and inhale, release. So your pelvis is going to go like this as you inhale. It's going to rotate forward, and exhale, it's going to rotate back, and the tail's going to tuck under. That makes sense. And you squeeze the block during the exhale. Inhale, you're going to release a little bit. Now, if you want, you can start adding a lift of the tail during that exhale movement, a little lift, and the inhale, release. Just working the lower back and the hips, as well as the legs and the feet. Just notice how grounding that feels in the nervous system. So you're just lifting the lower back off the ground, not the chest, just a very small lift of just the pelvis. So keeping from the waist up on the floor, I'm just lifting like a couple of inches, very, very little. Okay, we're going to add on to this. So inhale, your lower back comes off the floor. Exhale, tuck the tail under, lift the hips up. You're going to lift up a little bit more. Inhale, you're going to lift the chest up as well. And you can tuck those shoulders underneath. Exhale, you're going to roll down, squeezing that block, those books, coming down. Inhale, stay in the position, release the blocks a little bit. Exhale, tuck the tail under, squeeze the blocks, lift just the hips up. Inhale, lift up further, maybe adding the arms. Press into those feet. And exhale, rolling down from the chest to the belly, adding the arms. You can let the arms trail a little bit to move more into the chest. Inhale, stay in the position. Exhale, tuck the tail under and lift just the hips. Inhale, lift higher still. You can press into those arms. So I'm going to leave my arms down. Focus more on the hips. Exhale, squeezing the block and coming down. You should be feeling your inner thighs activated by now. Staying in the position, inhale. The lower back moves away from the floor. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Tuck the tail under, lift just the hips off the ground. Squeeze the block as much as you can. Inhale, lift higher, press into those feet. Press into the arms, lift higher. And exhale, squeeze the block as hard as you can and come down. Inhale, stay in the position, relax, the hold. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, tuck the tail under, squeeze the block, lift just the hips up. Inhale, lift higher still, press into the feet. Press into those arms. And exhale. Rolling down and remove those blocks. Maybe take one of those blocks or a pillow and put it underneath your hips. This is going to encourage that pelvic tilt. And the block is no higher than your waist. You're going to exhale, draw your knees into your chest. Do this without your arms. Apanasana. Inhale, knees away. If your lower back's uncomfortable, adjust the prop until it is comfortable. Exhale. Drawing your knees towards your chest. With the power of your core, inhale, legs away. Keep your lower legs relaxed, so it's not Pilates style with your legs up like this. Keep them relaxed. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Draw the knees in. Apanasana, working on that downward flow of energy. And inhale. So this is about finding your center. Becoming grounded, which is especially important when there's chaos in your life or a storm happening emotionally. You want to find your ground. This is one of the things you can do to help with that. Especially tucking that tail under. Now squeeze the pelvic floor and hold after exhale. Hug your knees. Hold after exhale. You can hold them like this or on top. Hold after exhale. Pull up on the pelvic floor. And then inhale, release. And you can keep holding on to your knees lightly if you want to add that on. Exhale. So this is usually how we teach this. The hands on the knees. Don't pull on the knees. And inhale. So adding that hold after exhale, couple of seconds. You can do this in your own timing. And you can try it with or without the hands. I like doing it without my hands for the most part because I find I can feel my pelvic floor working more. In yoga, we call this the moola or the root. So you decide what works better for your body. The lower back can get a better stretch with the hands on the knees, obviously. Just one of those discoveries that I made at some point in this pose. If I do it without my hands, I can actually feel the apana working better, that grounded core, as we call it in the West. In Sanskrit, mula, it means your root. It's your earth, your center. And just one more time. And this can be very helpful for many lower back problems as well, this pose. And just to end, just hug your knees either on top or underneath. And then release. And hopefully you didn't just eat a big dinner because that pose is not very comfortable if you've just eaten. So just be careful about that. I usually have a smoothie on yoga nights, but even that I find I have to have a couple of hours before I start to feel a bit heavy. We're going to do some windshield wipers here. You might need to adjust your mat so that your arms are in the right place. So you're going to inhale here. You're going to bring one knee down to the ground towards your other foot, towards the big toe of your opposite foot. Now, the other knee is facing up, so it's a little bit different than a normal windshield wiper. Sometimes I call this just the zigzag to differentiate. So one knee is up and the other one is coming down towards your big toe. Inhale, center. Now, the closer you bring your heels to your buttocks, the more you're going to feel this in your thighs. And you can lengthen through the psoas, the hip flexor. And this can be very helpful for the hips, but also for the knees. So sometimes knee caused by tightness in this area. And if you do have bunions, I'm afraid you might be having a little bit of pain in your toes. So you might need an extra cushion there. So try to keep that one knee up. And the other, as the other one comes down, yeah. So it's not an opening, it's actually coming across. It's not butterfly. The knee is coming into the center. It's an internal rotation. There you go, that's better. So I'm always surprised how hard this version is. I don't know what you think. When you've done a number of those, you can add now both knees coming to one side at a time. Now your palms classically are down and they can be at shoulder height or you can have them lower. And also we've talked about, you can also have the legs together as you do this. It's quite a different feeling. For me, it goes more into the lower back. So I prefer the legs apart to get more into the hips, but you can play with that. That's a different feeling. Inhale, center, pause, start to exhale, and then move the other direction. You can add a turn of the head the opposite way if that's comfortable. It can be nice to play with one palm up and the other one down. So when your head turns, that palm turns down. That can feel very soothing to the nervous system. Pausing between inhale, exhale. And when you're ready, staying on one side if that's comfortable, and just As you inhale, bringing the hips a little bit towards the side that you're on. And then exhale, release. So a bit of a pelvic tilt again. Inhale, tucking your tail under and arching your back a little bit towards that side you're on, and exhale, release. You can turn your head the opposite way if that's in your practice. That level of rotation of the neck. Be careful to shift the back of the head more towards the side your knees are on. When you're ready, coming to the center and exhale, other side. Inhale, tucking your tail under, bringing your hips to one side. Exhale, release. Again, you'll get more into the psoas, hip flexor by doing that. Turn your head the opposite way. Be careful. Back of the head more towards the side your knees are on. Pretty strong rotation of the neck. Be careful. And yes, there are many variations to the twist, so you're welcome to choose one that suits you. We're going to go on from here, coming back to the center. You're going to cross your legs. Just start on whatever side you like. You'll probably start on your easier side. We usually do that just naturally, so I'm just going to let you do that. So you're going to cross your legs, whatever side you like. Inhale, center, exhale to one side. Inhale, center, exhale to the other side, and just notice this variation. So your knees are crossed. So it's not a figure four movement. It's actually your knees crossed over each other. It's a little bit different. Yeah, that's right. Now you could do that figure four movement. That's a nice variation as well. So you could do that if you want. A little bit different. And this one will start to go a bit more into the lower back. So we're just going up the chain a bit now. And if you are having trouble with your feet, any pain in your feet, you could put another mat under your feet or a blanket. And we're going to go to the other side. It's crossing the other way. Inhale, center, exhale, side. And just notice if one side feels easier than the other. And notice if your shoulders come off the ground. So this is also a bit of a shoulder stretch for many people. Maybe it's going into your lower back. And just finishing up. Just going to take a break. You're going to exhale, bring your knees into your chest. And inhale, knees away. Exhale, knees into the chest. And inhale, knees away. Adding on, inhale, legs up to the sky, arms overhead. Exhale, knees to the chest. Inhale, legs up, arms up. Exhale, knees to the chest. A wonderful counter pose for the legs. They've been bent a while, just stretching them up. Stretching the arms. Those arms overhead, you can always have a bolster behind you, pillow behind you, or you can just bend your arms. Just one more time. And exhale, release. Just rest for a moment. Stretch your legs long, or they can be bent, just rest. Right, so we're going to go into our next set. I'm going to start rotating the hips the other direction. We start one side at a time. So inhale, opening your left hip, your left arm comes up. Exhale, you're going to draw the leg in as you bring the arm down by your side. And then the other side, inhale, opening the right hip, the right arm coming up. Exhale, drawing in as the arm comes down. Just keep this going side to side. So it's interesting, this pose, when you do one side at a time, you might be able to get quite a big hip opener versus when you do both sides at once. So this is a really nice way of isolating one hip at a time. It's also very nice just to stimulate one side of the brain at a time, opposite side that you're moving. If you want to do a bilateral stimulation, you can bring opposite arm to leg opening and play with that, stimulating both sides of the brain at the same time. And just feel the difference in how that feels in your nervous system. Decide which one feels better physically and emotionally. Make that exhale really long. Make the exhale long enough so that you're using your core strength to move your legs together rather than just moving your leg in. Use your breath and your core strength to move the leg in. Moving very mindfully and slowly. Supta Baddha Konasana is a variation. We're working one hip at a time. Now, if you like, you can keep this going or move both hips at once and both arms. So inhale, opening both hips. Exhale, drawing them together. Now, if you have uneven hips and it feels uncomfortable in your body, you might want to take blocks or 2 books of the same size. So my teachers in India, they use books. They don't have these fancy blocks, but they kind of look like books. And you can put one under each side, but they have to be the same size of book, and that can be a little tough. So I think that's why having blocks can be helpful. Inhale here, so that evens out that opening, and then exhale, drawing in, and use your pelvic strength, your core strength, to draw your knees together. And this can be very soothing for the nervous system. So your inhale opening, you're opening up your awareness. You're opening up. And exhale, you're centering. Just feel that in your lower back, in your hips, in your core. Inhale, opening, relaxing, releasing, and exhale, centering. Do it as slowly as possible, your hips trailing behind the breath. Let's keep that going. I'm getting a cramp tonight, so I guess these things all can happen. And then staying in that open pose if you like. And again, if you know you have one hip that opens differently than the other, you might want to have a bolster under the thighs or a rolled mat or a block on each side just to even that out. So that's an Iyengar yoga idea, which can be helpful. Classically, the arms are overhead, the floor behind you, but feel free to adjust the arms to comfort. And you're just going to breathe here. Now, something else you can try in this position, which is really fun, is you can take something fairly heavy, like a big pillow or a bolster. You can put it on the belly and you can breathe into that. And that can be extremely soothing if you've got something going on emotionally. It can just be very, very soothing. Just have that weight. So sometimes we use a sandbag in Iyengar yoga or a bolster. I learned this more recently, the bolster, which I love. And this can also help us lengthen the breath and draw our awareness to the belly breathing. So just having that little weight there can be very, very effective. Now, physically, you're probably feeling a bit of opening happening in the hips. Classically, arms overhead, if that works for you. Now, in this position, can you notice how the pelvis moves? As you inhale, the lower back moves away from the floor. And as you exhale, the lower back moves into the floor as the pelvis tucks, the tailbone tucks underneath and the pelvis tilts back. As you inhale, the bowl of the pelvis rolls forward, the lower back goes away from the floor, the tail goes on the floor. As you exhale, you tuck the tail under and the top of the pelvis rolls back. Can you feel that movement? How that affects the movement of the hips? And when you're ready, just resting for a moment. Just rest, observing the rise and fall of the natural breath. If your hips are uncomfortable, come out of the pose. External rotation is not always comfortable for people. You might have a feeling of some shaking or movement in those lower centers. Might be releasing something that's locked away in your body. Just know that's perfectly natural. The nervous system can discharge like that during your practice, and that's very healthy and natural. When you're ready, release whatever you've been using prop-wise. We're going to grab our belt, just to give our legs a good stretch after all that work. Opening the hips. Bring your belt on your feet. And I like to loop the belt, but you can hold it however you like. Your legs straight. Inhale here and exhale, bend the knees towards your chest. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. So you might like to do that, or if it's in your practice, can you exhale, bring the feet towards your face, and inhale, legs away, pointing the toes, so just swinging the legs back and forth. You can also bend one knee at a time if this is too much, one leg at a time. Stretching the legs, the lower back. Just take a rest, the legs bent, or the legs straight. Let's take a moment just to rest and integrate that last piece. Okay, we're going to move into our last section now. So we're going to do a little bit of strength work. You're going to turn onto one side. So I'm going to actually have you do the same side as me. This one's a little hard to cue. You're going to turn onto your right side in fetal position. And you can have one arm under your head, or you can use a pillow and have your arms in front, or a block. So if that feels better rather than the arm, you can do that. Then you can stay here in a clamshell, which physios teach often, so you can do that. Or if it's comfortable, stretching one leg out long and your left arm along your left ear. And you're going to inhale, stretch the leg as long as you can, pointing the toes away from you, and you should feel your hip decompressing. Bringing your hands together. So that's your inhale, and then exhale with your knee facing towards the center, bringing your leg up as your hand comes to your thigh. It's called anantasana. Ananta means balance or harmony. And just keep this going. Beautiful. And that the reason I like to bend the lower leg is for balance, but also it allows you to have that traction. So
to create some space in that hip. And some of you might like to bring the foot a little bit back. You might get more stretch by doing that. So you don't want to do this till towards the end of your practice because you want to be nice and warm. The sleeping Vishnu pose. Many of you have probably seen the sleeping Buddha. There's a Vishnu version of that in India. It's the idea that there's part of you that is watching the show of your life. It's just observing. It's not acting, it's just observing. When you're ready, moving into your side child, rest for a moment. We're going to go to the other side. Well, I'm going to look around so you can still see me. You might want to do the same. The bottom leg bent, the top leg straight. If that variation works for you, you can have both legs straight, of course, if you prefer. That is the classical. That arm underneath the ear or a pillow instead. Inhale, bringing that right arm up, hands together, stretching the right foot away and stretching that hip nice and long, decompressing the hip if there's any compression in there. Stretch as long as you can, and then exhale, bring the leg up as the hand comes to the thigh. Focus your attention on that hip. As you inhale, decompressing the hip. As you exhale, feeling all the muscles around the hip strengthening. Keep this going your own timing. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, drawing in. Keeping the knee facing towards your center. Just notice if one side is different than the other. One side might be stronger than the other. One side might be more flexible than the other. Just taking note of that. Just finishing up your Anantasana. Sleeping Vishnu pose, going into your side child. Looking onto your belly. Shalabhasana variation. You can place your folded hands underneath your forehead. If you're prone to headaches, just be really careful of this. We're going to keep the head down. You're going to tuck the toes underneath. As you inhale, lift the knees off the ground, just the knees. And exhale, release. Now, if you want to make this harder, you can put blocks between your thighs. Or you can just stay a breath or two in that extended position with the knees off the ground. This is good for the knees, but also you can feel your glutes working, hopefully, your big gluteus muscles. Try staying a few breaths in that extended position. And if you like, just trying to lift one leg up at a time. Now, it is much harder to do without bringing the chest up as well, but be careful for those of you who have any concussion, post-concussion syndrome or anything like that. Just be careful if you are adding the chest, not to wrench the neck and cut off blood flow to the head. So the hands, you can play with placing them in such a way that works well for your body. I like having them in kind of a diamond shape, just in front of me, and that works really well for my body. So you can just play with where your arms are, or don't move your head at all. Trying to get into those glute muscles. Arms can be under the shoulders as well. And you can try both legs if you like. And this gets more into the lower back. When you finish, just coming back into child's pose or go on your back right away, hug your knees. Do the hip version with the knees apart if you like. And finishing on your back, resting here in the class. Just a few minutes to really rest. You're welcome to put bolster under the legs. Eye pillow on the eyes or a face cloth. Dim the lights. Placing the hands on the belly. Maybe remember your intention from the beginning of the class. The intention can be an invocation. May I, and you try to draw something into your awareness. May I be free of a particular emotion, or may I just be free? May I be balanced? May I be in a state of harmony, whatever it is. Mantra could be inhale M, exhale free, as in F-R-E-E, free. Just lying there with that as I chant to you to close. Loka samasa sukhino
Loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu Loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Namaste. Namaskaram. Thank you very much.